this is Mike, and today we're going to have a conversation with a couple of guests, and we're going to be talking about trade, and more specifically, trade with Europe. As trade deals or trade frameworks begin to get announced, we'll be doing our best to try to get the right people on board with us to try to clarify some of these positions, as there seems to be a lot of rumors and, kind of misunderstandings or maybe a lack of clarity surrounding some of these trade frameworks. So today I have two guests. One is Anna Boulova and Ellie Osman. We've all met Ellie Osman before. Ellie Osman is a trading partner of ours in the EU, in the UK more specifically. And Ellie sits on a lot of trade association bodies. One of those is FRUCOM, and I will introduce FRUCOM really quickly here. FRUCOM represents and defends the interests of trade in dry fruit, edible nuts, processed fish, and processed fruit and vegetables in Europe and beyond, through effective communication and proactively engaging with relevant policymakers in the EU institutions. FRUCOM seeks to facilitate the trade of safe and quality products and ensure that its members are fully informed on the legal requirements. FRUCOM's expertise covers primarily issues on food safety, trade, and customs controls. FRUCOM's work on EU trade policy and custom matters covers international agreements, tariffs, quotas, duties, customs clarifications of goods, trade defense measures, and anti-dumping. And Anna is the Secretary General of FRUCOM. A little bit about Anna. She speaks English, French, Russian, and Spanish. Anna is responsible for the strategy and general management of the association, as well as official representation to the institutions and stakeholders. She supervises or executes monitoring, analysis, and reporting on all EU policy fields relevant to the FRUCOM products. So Anna and Ellie, thank you guys both for joining us today. I know this is early California, but kind of mid-afternoon for you guys. So again, want to say thank you very much for joining us right now.
Thank you very much for inviting. Yeah, thank you very much for giving this opportunity. Mm-hmm.
So I think we talked a little bit offline before we started recording, but I think what's in the news right now is Donald Trump was in Scotland, announces some trade framework for the EU, from our perspective, we're focused really just on what does this mean for maybe the almond industry. Anna, maybe you can give us a little bit of a history on maybe how we've gotten here and kind of where we're going.
Right. Thank you. So first of all, again, thank you for the invitation. We represent the importers into the European Union of various types of nuts, dried fruit, other processed products, and in particular almonds. So in that respect, we've been always closely cooperating, of course, with all the importers into the EU from the biggest countries, Germany, the Netherlands, Spain, Italy, France, Belgium, etc. Of course, we have the UK members, which are very active, full members of our association. And we have also been cooperating with the producers in other countries, and that includes the Almond Board of California. Yeah, so that's a very good historic cooperation that we've enjoyed for many, many years. What happened on the US front, I don't want to get into that. It's not really up to me to comment on that. Let me clarify that the official point of view of the European Commission has always been to say that that they never advocated for any measures from their side. The position repeated many times by the European officials has always been to say that tariffs are bad. There are only losers in a trade war. So in fact, they were forced somehow to take unpopular measures to say clearly that additional import tariffs would be put in place by the European Union as a response to the actions of the trading partner. So we have heard a few notifications in that respect, and the situation, as officially speaking as of today, is that there has been an agreement reached on Sunday between Ursula von der Leyen and President Trump and their respective teams. And so the agreement has been reached, but we still need to know the details of this agreement. The information is being circulated in different stages, let's say. What we are communicating with our membership daily. Basically, we're trying to get the information from the official sources of the European Commission, from the member states. We are very actively involved in the discussions with the partner organizations in the food chain, all the different commodities of exporters to the US, of importers into the EU. So we are liaising with all the partners for the different foodstuffs, try to benefit from the synergies with them. Basically, of course, the key questions are, first of all, what will happen with the potential measures and additional tariffs which were announced by the European Union previous to the agreement with the US. And secondly, if there can be further liberalization measures in the future. So where we stand right now is that I think the European Union is expecting the day of the 1st of August, where potentially new tariffs could have kicked in the US. So everybody's waiting to see whether indeed it's not happening as a proof of the agreement and of the goodwill. And based on that, and this is our information from different sources, as of yesterday, the EU would be ready to cancel its measures, so at least to suspend them. And the period of time we're talking about is 6 months. This is now this is really up in the air. This is being discussed at the moment. There is nothing on that point. There is nothing in written, so that's based on the conversation that I've been having with the different parties involved in the conversations. So I just want to clarify. So in fact, if this happens, it means that the potential threats of tariff of additional 25% will be postponed for 6 months. So we are counting, we're now end of July, so it will be going into January 2026 indeed. And then in addition to that, you may have seen that there has been an official statement by the European Union, that's a written statement on the website of the European Union, saying that they are considering additional, let's say, proposals for facilitating trade with the US, and nuts are being considered. At the moment, and that would happen in the form of tariff rate quotas. At the moment, there is no information as to what kind of nuts could be considered in this regard, neither to the size of these additional quotas, nor to the in-quota tariffs, zero or some input tariff. We know nothing about this. At the moment, it's very difficult to say. I can also say that in this period of time, many people are on holidays. It's a typical holiday period, so there are very few people that are carrying out the work on the agreement. So we are expecting to hear some news this Friday potentially, because it will be the 1st of August, and then potentially next week as well, as to a bit more detail of this agreement. But I should also say the European Union has certain procedures which it must respect with regard to the member states, all the processes for approval of such things. So typically it's quite lengthy, and I think the officials are doing their very best to try to communicate on that as fast as they can. So basically, to sum it up, we are looking at potential suspension of this after the 1st of August for 6 months, and then possibly also additional tariff rate quotas for imports of nuts. Nothing is specified, no details are known at the moment, and we'll work it out. So this is the situation as it stands.
So basically, as of today, right, almond duties going into Europe are 2 to 3.5%, depending on the volume imported by a certain period of time, right? And the potential that has been communicated is that could go up to 25%.
Additional 25%, so on top of the existing one, yeah.
Okay, so it could go up to 27 to 28.5% if no other deals are kind of made, right? So that's kind of kicked out into the future.
There's a threat, yeah, and this is the threat, and this is a legal text which is in force right now. So that would be applicable on the 1st of December, as things stand right now from the legal point of view. Now, on the 27th, yeah, a deal has been reached between Ursula von der Leyen and President Trump, and so now we want to see the implementation of that.
But those details of the deal, it sounds like really it's more of a higher level kind of framework that has kind of been agreed rather than any sort of publication on the fine detail of all of these other products that would fall in line with it.
Yeah, this is currently being negotiated. So there is no publication for the good reason that what we are hearing now from the people involved in that is that nothing has been communicated in bigger detail because nothing has been agreed as yet. Yeah, so they are working on this right now. Yeah.
If I understand correctly, August 1st, come August 1st, we could push out that December 1st kind of deadline of additional 25%. That could get pushed out even further depending on what is agreed by this Friday. Is that correct?
So people are expecting what the US will do on the 1st of August. Because there has been threat of additional duties as of 1st of August, so people want to see if this is not happening as a proof of, implementation of the agreement of Sunday. What will happen with this? So that's the first point that they are looking at. The additional 6 months, please let us be very, very cautious and clear about this. These are things that are being voiced by people involved in the process. So there is nothing written on that. It's not stated anywhere official. Yeah.
So we're still in a very fluid situation right now where things can still change pretty dramatically one way or the other, depending on how further negotiations go. So negotiations aren't over. They're actually just much more ongoing at the moment, if I understand correctly. Okay. And from a European perspective, I mean, what do some of the other member states have to say about the general framework that's been proposed? Are people happy, not happy?
We hear very different comments on that. We hear here I'm referring to the press because we in FRUCOM are really focused on the specifics of the products we are dealing with and on communication with the European officials on that and with the member states on that. But we are not really in the bigger picture and we are not following so much in detail what everybody is, and this is not. What I'm hearing from the press is that the reception of the deal has been different. For example, the reception by the German Chancellor has been broadly positive, as reported by the European and international press. The reception, for example, of the Prime Minister of France has been extremely negative. But we are not talking about Almonds. We are talking globally about their point of view on the general agreement, because as you would imagine, it's very broad. We're talking about energy purchases, we're talking about investments, we're talking about trade of goods, etc. So it's way, way larger than the specific scope of nuts and almonds that is our topic. The reception, for example, from one of the Belgian politicians was quite negative about this deal and so on, for a number of reasons. But yeah, it's not. Let's say there is no unanimity on the good and the good acceptance of this deal. I can say that I was listening into the statements to the let's say statements to the journalists of the European Commission on dealing with trade. So that's the highest authority in Europe responsible for that. He was asked the same question: is it a good deal, or because some member states are publicly criticizing this? So his response to this, and I tend to agree, has been that the world as it existed before April, namely before the announcements by President Trump, no longer exists. So we are now in a very different reality, and we have to face that, and we have to acknowledge that, and we have to do the best in the situation in which we are, because a clear prospect for the European exports has been an all-out import tariff in the US of 30%, and this would mean that the trade between the two blocs would come to a complete stop This is this scenario that they absolutely wanted to avoid. But again, I just want to state clearly that this is out of scope of action of FRUCOM, and this is really, I'm repeating what the official statements have been here.
Well, I think it sounds like it's still relatively unclear road ahead. It sounds like maybe there's a little bit of a framework that's been agreed, but still a lot can change in a pretty short period of time.
Indeed, but I would say, I think we are in a very much better scenario right now than a week ago, because these developments have been very quick. So we had a situation where we were just looking at the rumors and announcements of what could be potentially on the retaliation list by the EU. Then products had been included. Then we managed to postpone the application of this for almonds until the 1st of December. And I made a very rough calculation. We are talking about dozens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars on savings on the import tariffs just by postponing it to December. So we want to be quite clear that this postponement until December in the previous scenario has not been, let's say, an accident. It has been a lot of work by various actors in that, trying to convince the European Union and the national authorities in the member states that this product is the raw material for processing and creation of value added in Europe as well, and that as such is very necessary, for the operation of factories and all the retail operations, wholesale operations, warehousing, the shipment, etc., in the European Union. That was the main argument, and this helped us to postpone already the application until the 1st of December. So the almond industry, just to put things into perspective, was one, together with the feed compounders, with soybeans, only those two products have been on that list to be postponed till the 1st of December. So this is just to realize how tough this conversation has been. And key elements to achieve that, in my opinion, has been very good cooperation in the chain and by all the parties involved in demonstrating the value added in Europe, the value creation, the contribution to the tax, the contribution to employment, etc. Also, the fact that it's a critical raw material for the operation of the factories, because those factories in the EU cannot run on the raw material coming from Europe alone. Although that's also an important input, but that's not sufficient. So demonstrating this has been very critical. And also the biggest EU important member state, Spain, has been actively working on that, convincing. We had countless meetings with the stakeholders in Spain, with the members of the European Parliament on behalf of Spain, with the officials of the European Union in both the department dealing with trade and the department dealing with agriculture to present all these findings and all this information. So that has been very helpful and critical to the success of this. And I think the fact that some of the national governments were in support of FRUCOM position has been really useful in achieving that sort of outcome. And we should not underestimate how things change. So we were in a situation where the US has been applying tariffs, the EU has been waiting, has postponed the potential application till December. So that was already the state of play as of last week. And then things started to improve from that point forward with the announcement of the agreement on Sunday, with the potential discussion of the further postponement, and also with the consideration that there could be a creation of tariff rate quotas for imports of nuts going forward. Now, the official announcement talks about nuts, no further precision, no customs code, no definition, but since almonds are the biggest commodity coming in the chapter of nuts, there are, I don't want to speculate, but I think I see good chances of that covering almonds. So all in all, I just want to say that it's a much brighter picture than a week ago, and secondly, that it's not coming out of nowhere, and it's not a coincidence, and it's not a chance that we are where we are. It's a lot of hard work by very many people, yeah. And I want to say publicly thank you to my colleague Lebomofolo, who's been very much involved in that, and everybody involved in the chain. We are cooperating not only with with the European importers, with the members of the European Parliament on behalf of a number of countries, with the European officials, but we also cooperate with our partners in the food chain. I don't want to quote each and every one, and of course the companies have been very actively supplying the arguments, participating in the meetings. We had meetings with the trade representatives, with agriculture representatives. It's been extremely helpful. Yeah. So I want to thank publicly everybody who's been involved and instrumental in that.
Yeah, no, we in California appreciate everything that you and Ellie and your team have done. I know Ellie's one of the two vice presidents of FRUCOM. I know it takes a lot of effort going to Belgium, So I really want to say thank you guys for all of the information, all of the effort. And then as things progress, I think we should try to do this again as we get a little bit more clarity kind of on how things are developing. Again, it sounds like it's still a very unclear picture of what's going to happen to our commodity. But as things develop and as the picture, yeah, I just think we should try to do this again as we get a better picture. So, just want to say thank you guys very much.
Yeah, I think we are looking forward to it, and we are trying to get the information. We are trying to defend this agenda. And by the way, we've been discussing almonds, but the board of FRUCOM has defined a certain number of priority commodities and products to defend in this discussion. These are almonds first and foremost, of course, but also walnuts, pistachios, peanuts and peanut butter, cranberries and products of cranberries and prunes. So I just want to say that it's a broader discussion, of course. So we continuously defend all these products in this conversation. Yeah.
I think in summary, your work's not quite done yet, Anna. I think you and your team have several busy months ahead. But Mike, I think, again, to stress the amount of work and knowledge and expertise that Anna and her team have behind the scenes is quite instrumental in this. And Anna and I were discussing earlier today that even putting out a short circular is actually, the result of 2 days worth of discussion and communication in Brussels to really get that information and really pull that information piece together.
Again, I really appreciate all you guys' efforts, and thank you for making the time to do this.